Yeah, you know, like, it's so important when we look at lotus pose and some of the deep hip openings, we look at, you know, our own body and our own, like, recreational patterns and sports and things. And, you know, all these yoga poses came from a culture of people who sit much more on the floor and much more open hips just in terms of their use patterns and their culture. And so you just don't force things because some of these positions, if you just try them too much too soon, you just don't have the intrinsic development ready. You know, and the metaphor I give for this a lot, some of you have heard me talk about this, is like a student of mine went to Africa and saw the people who had balanced those big baskets on their head, and she's, you know, really into all things body, and she was like, could you teach me to do that? That would be so cool. And the women in the tribe were just like laughed at her because they said that she's like, you know, I can balance on my head, I'm real yogi, you know. And they said that they start the children in the tribe with like a little tuna can on the top of their head with gravel learning. So it's not just the balance, it's the years and years and years by the time they're an adult of the intrinsic neck muscles that get developed to be able to carry that load, so that you wouldn't go from 0 all the way up. They would just do that really gradually. And I was thinking there's a lot of poses that have like these deep bends in our knees and these deep movements in our hips that, like, we've sat in chairs, you know, for the first, you know, 20 to 40 years of our lives, and then we decide we're going to do yoga and we want to do poses that, like, intrinsically we may not just be ready to do. And that's part of just self-honor. And they're just pictures in the book, and they're pretty, a lot of them. Okay, but I don't mean anything morally. So if you can do a half lotus, you take a, now we're filming, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, you take a strap into a figure 8, and then you just figure 8 your lotus and slide your bottom foot into the figure 8, so that now your lotus is bound. You have a half lotus that's bound. If you can do full lotus, you do full lotus. And then when your half lotus is bound, you can work on kukkutasana, which is from your lotus position, your knees right at your wrist, your arms straight, move your navel in, lift your hips. You can do full lotus, you do it from full lotus, but if you can't do lotus, use a strap. Okay, so kukkutasana, try that.